Yos.
Hey everybody, DeadHatz here, and today we have good news, excellent news. I was in a disbelief when reading both the different patch notes released today. One is more like a news post and the other one's a patch notes, but either way, it's almost as if they saw my videos and correct a large majority of the stuff I had complaints about. Now, I don't like speaking negatively about Meet Your Maker. In case you can't tell, I obviously like the game, and it feels really good to talk positively. Not that I was talking a lot of negative previously. I mean, the 2 kill box videos was talking about kill boxes, which is just about how they're going to be hard to balance. And then the one 2 days ago was more talking about the pros and cons, and just some of my worries for the future, which a lot of them got fixed with this brand new patch note. So first we'll go to the fancy version. Actually, you know what, let's get the more beefy important stuff first, and then we'll talk about the more less important stuff later. First up is raiding, and there was a couple nerfs and buffs for raiders. Just kidding, it was actually almost all buffs. Basically, they fixed a lot of bugs, one of them being the corrosive cube bug. Yay! That's right, you'll no longer have to deal with this, and if you run into a base with this exploit, since it no longer works, anywhere where they may have abused it, you can now walk through freely and just grab the gen mat. And another thing, I noticed a pattern of a lot of co-op bug fixes. I've never actually played co-op yet, but it seems like for those of you who do play co-op, this is pretty huge for you. On another note, the Harvester, Harvey, is no longer going to be able to kill on spawn by the Death Piston. Thank God, because we all know how annoying that was to have to do with the maze. And you know, for every well-built labyrinth / maze map, there's like 50 cruddy, crappy ones that just waste your time. And so I know a lot of players are really happy about this, and not every player is going to be happy about this, but I think majority of people are going to be happy, which is kind of the goal right now. I've stated many times that I want the game at a point where everyone's happy, but I think it is super important to make sure the core majority of the player base is happy first, as that is where your player base is. They also got some pretty not as important things, the stuff that doesn't exactly fix the core errors that were causing people to leave. I mean, they got bug fixes, and then I guess people were accidentally deleting their bases, so they added a "Are you sure?" button. Performance, which is always good for people on lower end PCs. You know, just nothing pretty crazy. The accolade screen got some changes to the UI. But the more important stuff is going to be right here at the ranking system. Raiders will now no longer lose rank when abandoning a raid, which we already know about that. But they added even more stuff where now, as long as you beat a base, you'll never get minus rank, and it can't go below 0. Basically, you can't derank anymore. This is good because I know a lot of people who got to at least gold stop playing because they're scared they're going to derank all the way back to silver and not get the reward that they want. And basically they just redid the ranking system, so now raiders can't lose rank, builders can't lose rank, you can only go higher, but the bigger challenge you take on, the more you have to gain. So if you're a bronze player taking on a brutal champion outpost, you're going to get a lot more rank points than if you were a masters taking on a bronze base in normal. And it seems to be there's going to be an even bigger reward if you go through with no deaths, and then for builders there's a bigger reward upon getting at least 1 deaths, and they diminish with the more and more deaths over time. This way the game still rewards killing, but not the 30 plus deaths that builders can. Like, you'll be rewarded, but it'll be so diminishing that you won't feel too bad if someone got your gen mat after 30 deaths. And raiders will be prioritized to not die as often. They won't exactly be punished for dying too often. Basically, they went for the goalposts from, let's say, -50, +50 to 0 to 100. So now you can only improve, but the better you do determines how much better the rewards you get, which I think is pretty fair. And also maybe encourage players to play the game again, as I know the ranking system was a huge quit point for a lot of people. They also reworked prestige to make it easier for outposts to get prestige via accolades, just because, you know, not everyone's a super genius master builder who can build the super kill death trap 9000. Some people were getting a lot of accolades, and that's how they're able to prestige. But when you're getting to, like, let's say 6 or 7, that's not going to carry you alone. You're going to need kills as well. And thus in return, you'd have to add more traps, and then your base gets pushed to brutal, which is the least popular option, I think. And basically it'd be impossible to prestige your base. Well, now they fixed it. You can now rank up easily through accolades, which is good for builders, as now you don't need to build a kill box. You don't need to build a Death Trap 9000 to rank up and prestige your outposts and get more materials. Now you can just do it if you make a really pretty, well-built base, which is perfect. I think this will at least drive us further away from kill boxes being in the dangerous and normal territory, and that way they can stick to the brutal category where they belong. And then they also seem to have raised the prices of hardware. I use only grenades, so this didn't really affect that much because they're only 15 parts. I have like 10k parts, so that isn't really affecting me. But yeah, on another note, one of my biggest complaints in my last video, which is my 1 month later Meet Your Maker video, it was about ranked. I feel like the devs didn't do a good job explaining what the future expectation for ranked was. We know for this sector, Sector 0's Red Sands, it was purely going to be for rewards by the next sector. And well, they've released what the next sector's rewards are going to look like. You're going to get these different decos depending on how high of a tier you went. It's kind of a showy offy thing. Instead of a leaderboard, you just kind of tell whoever's rating your base, hey, this is who I am. They did introduce different cosmetic opportunities. So I'm happy that they're not just giving you a shit ton of materials or money. They're giving you like rewards that you can equip to your character and show off. Just because like Dead by Daylight, their ranking system, you can just get a shit ton of blood points at the end. That doesn't feel very special compared to getting limited time, items and event items, which I think is a really good idea. And then they finally gave a clear outline for how the ranking system works, which is something not even Dead by Daylight will do. I like behavior, but I think it's very clear that this team is a very different team than the one leading Dead by Daylight. I love Dead by Daylight, but they make questionable decisions, and I see Meet Your Maker doing all this good shit. I'm like, this is how it's done, man. Because they're answering a lot of our questions and doing a lot of stuff to actually fix it. I think their only issue now is just transparency, because a lot of these issues were brought up for a while, and it did take them a while to address it, but hey, better late than never. But yeah, here they better explain that higher difficulty raids get more points, which is excellent, and the better you perform, the more points you get, but you can never lose points anymore, which is something a lot of people complained about, and it directly goes against their marketing, as pointed out to me by a commenter. And yeah, no, this is all in all, this is a great patch. I don't think there's a single thing I don't like. The only thing I don't like is that they didn't nerf Plasma Sentinels, which I explained in my last video why they're incredibly busted. But other than that, I mean, this is great. This is all great stuff. But yeah, what do you guys think of it? I think it's great. That's just my personal opinion. And I don't know. I like it. Subscribe.
Subscribe to DeadHatz or you'll die tomorrow.